we were discussing issues like poor macros, high crude prices, uptick in US bond yields, and FIS selling. All those factors for the moment have got diluted. But markets are not like really going ho-hum. Markets are moving higher in a very measured manner, and small and mid-cap stocks have not recovered fully.
Yes, good morning, Nagin. It's very true. The macros, are really reversing and dramatically. Something very interesting. It's not many people expected the way oil prices, reversed. The rupee is getting steady, and markets and the media have been mostly exaggerating the negatives, especially when the market is in a bad sentiment. Investors are not in a buying mode. It adds to the agony. There was so much of exaggeration regarding perhaps the trade war, the NBFC crisis, again the so-called macro headwinds. Now things all are looking sober, and I think there are all reasons for the investors to cheer. We had a very bad 2018, very painful for investors, all kind of investors. Those who were not affected earlier, they got affected later part of the year. And I think almost everybody is affected. And I think 2019 is definitely going to reverse this. It's an election year. Now, many investors are trying to, wait for the election before taking a buying decision or investing decision. I think that's not the way one should look at equity long-term investing. It's perhaps, a very good opportunity when people are talking about the election's outcome and whether Modi will come back or not. I think it's not very relevant at this point of time for long-term investors. And if you see the past, every time elections happened, whatever was the outcome, it was against the liking of the investors or not, or against the liking of the corporates or not. Markets have really gone up. See, the best example is 2004, when CPM and Congress, jointly makes a government. Most people thought there's nothing worse than that. Still, the markets have done very well. If you see it, I think that's gone up by some 3 times in the subsequent years. And this time, the concerns are very different. But ultimately, the earnings of companies, it will all melt down to the earnings of companies and the valuation. That way, I feel it's a very comfortable kind of time in the market for new investors to come and invest in equities, and for the existing investors to hold on to their investments with a lot of confidence.
Yeah, indeed it is. Porinju, we can't really control the external or domestic environment, but as investors, it's really about hunting value and buying it, trying to buy it at the right time and price. It's interesting that you believe that there are opportunities in mid-cap IT. One would believe that IT has already had its time in the sun. It's been a great performer as an entire sector, with the rupee also aiding its move. But why do you still continue to have conviction in mid-cap IT? And even at these levels, do you believe they would stand as good buys?
See, the leadership changes after every fall in the market. Even this time we are going to see, the future stocks, the future opportunities are going to be very different. So people should not go by the past performers and the past leadership. I think we are heading for new sectors, new kind of opportunities, and new kind of themes. So in that context, we have been recently looking at IT, especially the mid-cap IT segment. Normally, investors see it as a rupee trade. That's the reason perhaps it did not do very well. There was like a consolidation of the last 18 years. The previous 2 rallies, the bull runs, where the IT stocks were almost ignored. Even though the earlier one was led by the IT stocks in 99, 2000 kind of time. I feel a valuation comparison, if you look at now, IT stocks, in spite of all those apprehensions, uncertainties, and gray areas, they are growing at 15 to 20%. If you see the last 5 years CAGR, the 10 years CAGR looks better, of course. Even earnings-wise, it is better than the revenue CAGR. And what are the price earning multiples are much lower, historically low. Just compare this with the consumer companies, the FMCG companies. They are growing at 8, 10. The best of them are growing at 12%, and we are giving 30 and 40 price earning multiples. So the question here is whether this is a secular growth. Can we expect 15 to 20% CAGR for these companies for the next 5 years? I believe a lot of these mid-cap companies, they are transforming into, they're making innovations. A lot of them are, reinventing themselves, going for more of digital revenues. And such companies are going to grow at definitely 15 to 20%. And I won't be surprised, few of them growing at 20 to 25%. So this can be one of those leaders of the next bull market, especially in 2019.
Fair enough. How are you then evaluating the whole HFC and NBFC space, Porinju? Where is the opportunity? How do you size the opportunity right now? Because I know that the good quality names are being seen as favorable post the fall. But do you think that even the housing finance space has seen its worst?
Yeah, this was a sector, if you see the housing finance companies and then BFCs, they had some lot of fancy in the market in the last many years, and too much of valuations. Even these companies, some of them also tried to take advantage by manipulating and by hiding things. So now all are getting settled. But at the same time, don't think this is something which can bring down India or its economy or its the financial system. It's not that big. See, the current NBFC crisis, some people are even comparing to the Lehman crisis. I think it's nonsense. We are not up to that, So things will get settled. I think the worst is over for the sector too, I believe. Now people will learn to behave, after all these things. And in the finance sector as it is, see the bankruptcy code, see the NPA resolution itself. I think it's very encouraging, very, very encouraging if you see. Of course, we all wish to have it much faster and much more, but it has got its limitations. These are the dirt accumulated over the last many, many years, over a decade. So it will take some time also. It's a slow process, but it's very impressive in my opinion. And the bankruptcy code in India, people are underestimating. This is historic, Tanvir. I am very confident. And this is, because of the political blame games, people are underestimating the bankruptcy code kind of reforms happening in this country. This will go a long way. It will be remembered after 10, 20, and 30 years, what has been happening today. And this will clean up the system. Our financial system is getting much stronger, like never before. Going forward, I'm talking.